A haunting melody drifts across a wine-dark sea. This is the ancient call of the Sirens, one of history's most captivating and dreamlike mysteries. For thousands of years, the legend of these creatures has mesmerized sailors and storytellers alike, a tale where a beautiful song hides a deadly purpose. By the end of this journey, you will understand the true origins of this myth and why it still echoes in our modern world. We will trace their story from the rocky shores of Homer's Odyssey to their surprising transformation into the mermaids of folklore. What real-world dangers could have inspired such a persistent legend? What does it truly mean to be lured by a siren's call today? What kind of song would you risk everything to hear? Circe's warning to Odysseus was stark and unforgettable. She told him of creatures who sat in a meadow, surrounded by a great heap of bones from men they had lured with their song. Their voices promised ultimate knowledge, a gift of knowing everything that happens under the sun. But this gift was a trap, a beautiful lie meant to draw ships onto the jagged rocks. To hear it was to be lost forever, so Odysseus devised a plan of brilliant, desperate cunning. He ordered his men to seal their own ears with softened beeswax, making them deaf to the enchanting melody. Then he had them bind him tightly to the ship's mast, commanding them to ignore all his pleas and struggles until they were safely past the danger. It was a test of will against desire, a gamble using his crew's ignorance as his only shield. And soon the song began. It was a sound of unbearable beauty, a symphony of promises that called directly to his soul. Odysseus thrashed against his ropes, his eyes wild with a need to join the singers, to reach that shore of supposed wisdom. He begged his men to release him, but they, hearing nothing, only rowed harder, keeping their oars steady in the water. This moment in Homer's epic is the bedrock of the entire Siren legend. It establishes the core elements that would echo for centuries, the irresistible call paired with certain destruction, and the idea that human intellect and preparation are our only defense against primal, overwhelming temptation. You can almost see the scene on ancient Greek vases, the hero straining against his bonds while his crew focuses on the sea ahead. It is a powerful allegory that asks a profound question: what kind of knowledge is worth the risk of self-destruction? And this was only the beginning of the Sirens' long and twisting story through history. Yet the Sirens Odysseus faced bore little resemblance to the aquatic beauties we picture today. In their original Greek form, these were not mermaids. They were hybrid creatures, often depicted with the body of a bird and the head of a woman. Perched on their rocky island, they were part woman, part raptor, a terrifying fusion of the familiar and the alien. This avian form was deeply symbolic, rooted in ancient beliefs that saw birds as manifestations of the human soul. In this context, the Sirens were psychopomps, entities tasked with guiding the recently deceased to the underworld. Their deadly song was not merely a trap, it was a dirge, a lament for the dead that also served as a final, irresistible summons. They were the embodiment of the soul's journey into darkness, and their meadow of bones was a grisly terminal for those who answered their call. This terrifying image, however, would not last. Centuries later, a profound transformation began. During the medieval period, the siren slowly shed her feathers and grew a shimmering fishtail. This shift was likely influenced by the convergence of other seafaring myths and folklore that traveled along trade routes. The bird woman, a creature of the air and land, was gradually replaced by the mermaid, a being purely of the sea. This was more than just a change in appearance. It fundamentally altered the siren's symbolic power. The ancient psychopomp, a guide to the afterlife linked to the ethereal soul bird, became a seductive temptress. Her danger was no longer framed as a spiritual lure to knowledge and death, but as a more earthly, physical enchantment. The focus moved from the fate of the soul to the peril of the body, from a philosophical trap to a carnal one. So, how did a myth so deeply rooted in one form become almost universally known in another? the answer lies in the very human need to reshape our oldest fears. But where exactly was this island of bones and lost ships? The ancient texts point us toward a very real and treacherous part of the Mediterranean, the Tyrrhenian Sea near the coast of Italy. Sailors and storytellers for centuries have tried to pinpoint the Sirens' rocky perch, with two locations rising above the rest as the most compelling candidates. The first is a small archipelago known since Roman times as the Sirens, today's Galley Islands, lying just off the stunning Amalfi coast. Local legend there is tenacious, insisting that these very islets were the home of the deadly singers. The second proposed site is Cape Pellorum in Sicily, a headland where the sea churns with conflicting currents, a natural trap for any vessel that strayed too close. These were not random guesses. Each location possesses a geography that mirrors the myth, with hidden reefs and sudden storms that could easily destroy a ship, leaving behind the very wrecks that would fuel the stories. Homer's description paints a chilling picture of the Sirens' domain, a meadow not of flowers but surrounded by the withered remains of the dead. The shore was littered with the bleached bones of previous victims and the rotting husks of their ships, a gruesome monument to failure that served as the final warning for those who arrived too late to hear it. This haunting landscape was more than just a scary story. It was a perfect metaphor for the perilous nature of ancient seafaring. The island's elusive, almost shifting location in myth directly reflected the dangerous and uncharted waters of the time. For early explorers, every new coastline was a potential site of wonder or terror, a place where the map ended and legend began. The Sirens' Island existed in that blurred space between a known hazard and a supernatural fear, a story born from the very real dread of a sailor hearing the wind whistle through a rocky strait and wondering if it was a storm or something far, far worse. That song promised far more than a simple melody. It offered the ultimate prize, the gift of omniscience. The Sirens did not just sing to enchant the ear, they sang to captivate the intellect, promising to reveal every event of the Trojan War and all the knowledge of the world to any man who would listen. Think about the power of that offer. For a hero like Odysseus, a man defined by his cunning and his relentless pursuit of experience, this was not a trivial temptation. It was the chance to know everything, to understand the full scope of human struggle and divine machination. This appeal to the deepest human desire for wisdom and truth made their trap infinitely more potent than any physical seduction could ever be. It targeted the very core of our curiosity, the part of us that yearns to peel back the layers of reality and see what lies beneath. This transforms the Sirens from simple monsters into a profound metaphor for the dangerous allure of forbidden knowledge. They represent the existential risk of seeking answers to all of life's mysteries, the peril of a mind that cannot accept its own limitations. What is the price for knowing everything? The myth suggests it is a complete and total loss of self. To gain all knowledge is to be consumed by it, to be stranded forever on an island of facts, surrounded by the bleached bones of those who came before you, their journeys ended, their stories complete, but their lives utterly extinguished. The song, therefore, is the sound of that ultimate, self-destructive curiosity, a beautiful symphony that ends only in silence. This profound distinction between the Sirens and the mermaids of later folklore is critical to untangling a centuries-old mythological mix-up. The original Greek Sirens were inherently, unequivocally deadly. Their purpose was singular, to lure sailors to their deaths, and their identity was inextricably linked to the underworld as psychopomps guiding souls. They were a spiritual and intellectual threat, promising knowledge that led only to oblivion. Mermaids, in contrast, were creatures of a different sea entirely. Born from Northern European and other global folklores, their nature was far more ambiguous. A mermaid could be a benevolent omen, a playful trickster, or a vengeful spirit, but she was not defined by a single, homicidal function like the Sirens. Her domain was the ocean itself, its tides and its mysteries, not the threshold of death. You can see this stark difference in their very depictions. Classical Greek vases show the siren as a formidable bird woman, a creature of the sky perched on land, while illustrations from Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid present a completely different being, a melancholic, human-like figure with a glimmering fish tail, a creature wholly of the water. So how did these two separate entities become one in the popular imagination? The fusion began with a pivotal mistranslation. When Saint Jerome created the Latin Vulgate Bible, he translated the Hebrew word for a desert-dwelling demon, a creature of desolate places, into the Latin Sirena. This single linguistic choice forever linked the siren name with a demonic entity in the minds of medieval Europe. As the centuries passed and seafaring stories mingled along trade routes, this biblical association merged with pre-existing tales of aquatic spirits. The siren, now stripped of her classical context as a bird woman and burdened with a demonic label, was gradually absorbed into the more pervasive and visually similar mermaid myths. The bird-like features faded, replaced by the now iconic fishtail, and her symbolic meaning shifted from a philosophical warning about forbidden knowledge to a more straightforward allegory for the physical dangers and seductive temptations of the sea. The two distinct figures, one a guide to the afterlife and the other a spirit of the ocean, became hopelessly and fascinatingly intertwined. That promise of ultimate knowledge, a song that could unravel the universe, forces a difficult question. What real-world sound could possibly live up to such a terrifying legend? The answer may lie not in a single melody, but in a chorus of natural and human phenomena that conspired to create one of history's most enduring auditory illusions. Imagine the lonely sailor on a long voyage, his mind frayed by fatigue and the relentless monotony of the sea. In that state, even the wind can begin to speak. One compelling theory points to the eerie music of nature itself. In rocky coastal areas like those proposed for the Sirens' Island, the wind does not simply blow, it sings. As air forces its way through narrow sea arches and whistles across honeycombed cliffs, it can produce an unearthly, resonant hum. To a superstitious mind, that sound could easily be mistaken for a distant, wordless choir. Then there are the inhabitants of these waters, the mournful, almost human cries of seals or the complex, chirping songs of manatees carry for great distances over calm water. A sailor hearing these unfamiliar animal calls for the first time might genuinely believe he was listening to a hidden community of singers. Another possibility moves from the natural world to the human. Some historians suggest that certain islands, perhaps dedicated to a goddess like Persephone, queen of the underworld, may have housed temples where priestesses sang lamenting hymns as part of their rituals. Their chants, amplified by the natural acoustics of a cove or carried on a freak weather phenomenon known as an acoustic mirage, could have reached ships far out at sea. The sailors would hear a beautiful, ethereal music with no visible source, a divine voice drifting from an empty horizon. This would have been interpreted not as a random noise, but as a direct supernatural call. Yet the most critical instrument in this symphony of fear was the human mind itself. Prolonged isolation, sleep deprivation, and nutritional deficits from a diet of stale hardtack and wine could easily induce vivid auditory hallucinations. A creaking timber, the slap of a wave, the groan of the hull, any of these mundane sounds could be twisted by a fatigued brain into the ghost of a melody, a siren song composed entirely from the listener's own deepest desires and fears. The legend, then, is a perfect storm, a fusion of real environmental sounds, distant human activity, and the vulnerable psychology of the listener, all combining to give a name and a face to the terrifying unknown of the open ocean. Long before Odysseus was tied to the mast, another legendary crew faced the same deadly music and found a completely different way to survive. The story comes from the epic tale of Jason and his Argonauts as they sailed home with the Golden Fleece. As their ship, the Argo, neared the Sirens' Island, the same haunting melody began to curl across the water, promising untold knowledge and sealing the fate of so many sailors before them. But on this ship they had a secret weapon, the divine musician Orpheus. Seeing his comrades begin to succumb, their eyes glazing over as they turned toward the irresistible sound, Orpheus did not reach for ropes or wax. He reached for his lyre, he began to play, and his music was not a defense but a counterattack, a melody of such profound beauty and power that it shattered the Sirens' enchantment. His song was one of creation, of the gods and the birth of the world, a harmony so pure it overwhelmed their deadly chorus. The Argonauts, moments before entranced, now turned their ears and their hearts to Orpheus, their oars finding a new rhythm in his tune, and they sailed past the peril unscathed. This was the Sirens' first recorded defeat, and it carries a meaning just as deep as the story of Odysseus. Where Odysseus used physical restraint and intellectual cunning to resist temptation, Orpheus fought beauty with a greater beauty. His victory established a powerful idea that creative expression, art itself, is a potent force against destruction. It suggests that the answer to a call that promises everything is not merely to block it out, but to answer it with something more true, more resonant, and more authentically human. One hero survived by binding himself to the physical world, while the other triumphed by unleashing the power of the soul. These two ancient solutions, one of restraint and one of artistic triumph, present a timeless choice for facing any alluring danger, whether it comes from the sea or from within our own minds. The Siren's song echoes far beyond the rocky shores of myth, finding a home in the deepest corridors of the human mind. Modern psychology offers a powerful lens through which to view this ancient tale, framing the Siren not as a monster of the sea, but as a fundamental part of ourselves. The pioneering psychiatrist Carl Jung introduced the concept of archetypes, universal patterns and images that reside in our collective unconscious. Within this framework, the Siren appears as a classic embodiment of the anima, the unconscious feminine aspect within the male psyche. She is not an external being, but an internal force, a representation of all that is mysterious, alluring, and dangerously captivating that a man does not recognize within his own conscious self. She is the pull toward the emotional, the intuitive, and the irrational, a force that can lead to profound creativity or, if left unacknowledged, to utter self-destruction. This internal landscape is the true stage for the myth-central drama. Odysseus, bound to the mast of his ship, is a perfect symbol of the conscious ego, the rational mind that understands the danger ahead. His desperate struggles against the ropes are the raw, primal instincts, the unconscious desires screaming to be set free. The Siren's call, then, is the voice of the anima itself, promising a wholeness and knowledge that can only be gained by surrendering rational control. It is the ultimate internal conflict, a battle between the part of us that plans and the part of us that yearns, between the self that builds a life and the self that would tear it all down for a single, transcendent moment. This ancient story maps perfectly onto modern struggles with addiction and obsession. The Siren's song is the whisper of a substance, the lure of a gambling table, the siren call of an unhealthy relationship that promises euphoria but delivers only ruin. It is the same psychological mechanism, an irresistible pull toward something we know will harm us, a promise of fulfillment that is, in reality, a path to a personal island of bones. This myth also explains the unsettling phenomenon known as the call of the void, that sudden, inexplicable impulse to swerve your car or step off a high ledge. It is not a wish to die, but a terrifying glimpse into the power of the unconscious, a brief moment where the siren within sings a single, shocking note. The story of Odysseus and the Sirens, therefore, is not an adventure about escaping monsters. It is a timeless instruction manual for navigating the most perilous journey of all, the journey through our own psyche. It teaches us that the greatest dangers are not outside of us, but within, and that our survival depends on our ability to both listen to our deepest desires and, when necessary, tie ourselves firmly to the mast. This profound psychological interpretation, however, was not the only transformation the siren would undergo. When the early Christian church began to spread across the Greco-Roman world, it encountered a pantheon of pagan myths that needed to be either discredited or repurposed. The siren, a creature of undeniable power, was too potent a symbol to be discarded. Instead, she was systematically reinterpreted, her song shifting from a promise of forbidden knowledge to a warning against spiritual peril. Christian theologians saw in her a perfect allegory for the temptations of the flesh and the deceptive allure of heresy. Her beautiful melody became the sound of false doctrines, sweet to the ear but deadly to the soul, designed to lure the faithful away from the safe harbor of the church and onto the rocks of spiritual damnation. This was not merely a change of context, it was a complete moral overhaul of the myth. The siren's hybrid nature, once a symbol of her connection to the soul bird, was now seen as the very embodiment of duplicity. A creature that was half one thing and half another represented the hypocrisy of sin itself, which often presents a beautiful face to hide a monstrous reality. This new interpretation permeated medieval thought. In the illuminated pages of bestiaries, those encyclopedias of moralized natural history, the siren was frequently depicted holding a mirror and a comb. These were not tools of a psychopomp, but the instruments of vanity and worldly seduction. Her song was the whisper of pride, of greed, of lust, all the sins that could cause a soul to spiritually shipwreck. You can find her carved into the stone of churches and cathedrals across Europe, often high on a capital or a misericord, a constant, silent reminder to the congregation of the dangers that surrounded them in daily life. She was no longer a monster of a distant sea, but a symbol of the internal struggle every Christian faced, a battle between piety and temptation playing out in the human heart. This co-opting of the siren myth solidified her place in the Western symbolic lexicon for centuries, turning an ancient Greek cautionary tale into a fundamental pillar of Christian moral instruction. Odysseus sailed away, but the story of the sirens did not end with his escape. In a lesser-known epilogue to the Homeric myth, a profound tragedy unfolded on that lonely island. The sirens, having failed for the very first time to claim a passing crew, were consumed by a grief so absolute it became their end. According to some ancient sources, they threw themselves into the sea and were transformed into the very rocks they had used to destroy others. Their voices were silenced forever, their meadow left empty. This self-destruction reveals a devastating truth about their nature. The sirens' power was not just in their song, it was in their perceived invincibility. Their entire existence was a perfect, deadly trap, a cycle of lure and destruction that defined them. When Odysseus, a mere mortal, outwitted them using nothing but cunning and restraint, he did more than just survive, he shattered the foundation of their being. Their purpose was rendered meaningless by a single failure. This adds a deep, unsettling layer of tragedy to their legend. They were not merely monsters, they were prisoners of their own function, being so bound to a cycle of destruction that their first encounter with failure became a death sentence. They could not adapt, they could not change, they could only cease to be. Their story becomes a cautionary tale about the fragility of power that depends on never being challenged, and the existential crisis that follows when an unshakable identity is suddenly broken. They were defeated not by wax or ropes, but by the simple, unbearable fact of their own imperfection. The stark terror of the sirens was first painted in the bold silhouettes of ancient Greek vases. On these red and black figure pots, the creatures are not the mermaids we know. They are formidable bird women, perched on their rocky stage with sharp claws and intense, focused expressions. They are often shown in the moment of performance, their bodies leaning forward as Odysseus strains against his ropes, a visual representation of the deadly pull between desire and restraint. This classical image held for centuries a clear warning from the ancient world, but as the siren's myth traveled through time, her form softened and shifted on the artist's canvas. By the time of the Renaissance, the feathers had begun to molt. A new, more sensual danger emerged, reflecting the era's complex views on femininity and temptation. The siren was slowly merging with the mermaid, her lower half becoming a glistening fishtail, a creature now wholly of the sea's mysterious depths. This transformation reached its peak in the 19th century with the Romantic and Symbolist movements. Artists were no longer interested in painting simple monsters. They sought to capture the haunting psychology of the myth. John William Waterhouse's masterpiece, Ulysses and the Sirens, perfectly encapsulates this shift. The scene is one of overwhelming sensory assault. Beautiful, voluptuous women with flowing hair cling to the ship itself, their faces turned up in song, their hands grasping at the rigging. They are not distant figures on a shore, they are an immediate physical presence. Odysseus is bound, his face a mask of agony and yearning, while his crew rows on, oblivious. Waterhouse captures the very essence of the internal struggle, the conflict between the rational mind and the primal, irresistible call of the unknown. This was not just an illustration of a story, it was an exploration of the human psyche. Each era's art holds up a mirror to its own fears and fascinations. The Greek vase painter showed a monster to be defeated. The Romantic painter showed a beautiful, melancholic temptation to be understood, a reflection of a society grappling with the nature of desire itself. The siren's enduring power lies in this very adaptability, her ability to become whatever we fear or desire most, her song forever changing its tune to match the anxieties of the age. That lonely island of bones became a stage not just for one hero, but for a chorus of literary voices across the ages. Poets and novelists have repeatedly sailed back to those rocky shores, not to escape the siren's song, but to listen more closely, to understand the singers themselves. In her poem Siren Song, Margaret Atwood performs a brilliant act of ventriloquism, giving one of the creatures a weary, modern voice. This siren confesses her song is a cry for help, a boring song that everyone falls for, yet she reveals the ultimate irony. The song is irresistible because it makes each listener feel like the one special person who can save her. Atwood flips the entire myth, transforming the sirens from active predators into beings trapped by the very nature of their power, questioning who is truly the captive in this ancient dynamic. This theme of the artist's complicated relationship with their audience finds a different echo in the fragmented landscapes of modernism. T.S. Eliot, in his epic poem The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, hears the sirens not in the sea, but in the drawing rooms of modern society. He writes, "I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me." For Eliot's anxious protagonist, the sirens represent an unattainable artistic and emotional ideal, a beautiful harmony from which he feels permanently excluded. Their song is no longer a physical threat, but a symbol of profound alienation, the haunting sound of a life not fully lived. James Joyce, in his monumental novel Ulysses, a direct homage to Homer, uses the siren episode to explore a different kind of seduction. In the chapter set in a Dublin concert room, the music and the flirtatious barmaids become the modern sirens, their allure representing the distracting pull of sentimentality, nostalgia, and sheer sensual pleasure that can stall an artist's progress. The danger is not shipwreck but creative stagnation, the temptation to linger in beautiful but shallow waters instead of pushing forward on the difficult journey home. From Atwood's feminist reinterpretation to the modernist anxieties of Eliot and Joyce, the siren myth proves endlessly adaptable. It provides a powerful framework for discussing the very nature of voice and agency, asking who gets to speak and who is forced to sing the same old song. It probes the relationship between the seducer and the seduced, the artist and the audience, revealing that the most dangerous melodies are often the ones we compose for ourselves. The silver screen became the siren's new rocky shore, a place where filmmakers could translate that ancient auditory terror into pure visual and sensory spectacle. In the Coen brothers' modern Odyssey, O Brother, Where Art Thou?, the myth is stripped of its classical grandeur and grounded in the dusty American South. Our heroes, escaping a chain gang, stumble upon three women washing clothes in a river, their movements synchronized to a haunting a cappella folk song. The scene is drenched in an otherworldly golden hour glow, and the filmmakers use slow motion to stretch the moment, making it feel like a dream from which the characters cannot wake. There is no shipwreck here, only a different kind of destruction. The men are enchanted, lulled into a false sense of peace, and are promptly betrayed and delivered back to the authorities. This cinematic siren call is not about knowledge, but about the seduction of comfort and escape, a promise of rest that leads directly back to captivity. It proves the myth's core mechanism is endlessly adaptable. The danger simply changes its form to match the desires of its intended victims. A far more visceral and psychosexual terror emerges in Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse. Here, the mermaid figure is no beautiful fantasy, but a grotesque, enigmatic creature glimpsed in the tempest. For the isolated lighthouse keeper, she becomes an object of obsessive fantasy, a manifestation of his deepest, most repressed urges and spiraling madness. The film uses jarring sound design, the relentless blare of the foghorn, and stark black and white cinematography to create a world where reality is already frayed. The mermaid's allure is not sweet or melodic, it is primal and terrifying, a call that promises not wisdom or comfort, but a complete surrender to the chaotic, monstrous depths of the unconscious. Filmmakers, like the ancient mythmakers before them, understand that the true power of the siren lies in suggestion. They use ethereal music that seems to emanate from nowhere, soft focus lenses that blur the line between reality and dream, and soundscapes that get under your skin. These techniques are the modern equivalent of the wind whistling through the sea arches. They create an auditory and visual illusion so potent that we, the audience, feel the pull ourselves. We are momentarily seduced by the beauty on screen, even as we witness the characters being consumed by it. The cinema, in the dark, becomes the perfect vessel for the siren song, asking us what we would risk for a moment of transcendent silver screen beauty. Music itself has become the modern vessel for the siren's timeless call. Composers and musicians have long been drawn to the myth, attempting to capture its essence in sound, creating a beautiful paradox where the art form becomes both the danger and the defense. Claude Debussy's symphonic sketch, Sirens, is perhaps the most direct translation of the legend into pure music. The piece uses a wordless female choir, their voices weaving in and out of the orchestral texture like a mist over the water. This is not a melody you can easily hum. It is an atmosphere, a sensation of being slowly, hypnotically drawn toward an unseen allure. Debussy does not try to tell the story of Odysseus. He instead makes you, the listener, the sailor. His composition is the siren song, an immersive experience of harmonic color and drifting rhythm designed to bypass reason and speak directly to the subconscious. It is a stunning meta-commentary on music's own power, proving that a song without any words at all can still feel dangerously enchanting. This classical interpretation finds a stark, modern counterpart in the world of pop and rock. Roxy Music's track Siren pulses with a cool, detached glamour, its sleek rhythms and Brian Ferry's crooning vocal painting the siren as a figure of irresistible urban cool, a different kind of deadly attraction lurking in the city's night. Bat for Lashes, in her siren song, leans into the myth's haunting melancholy, her ethereal voice and layered harmonies creating a sense of otherworldly longing. In these modern renditions, the siren's call is rarely about literal shipwreck. Instead, it becomes a potent metaphor for toxic relationships, obsessive desire, and the dangerous allure of a certain kind of feminine power that society often fears. The singer becomes the siren, her voice the very instrument of seduction and warning. This transforms every performance into a reenactment of the ancient drama, exploring the fine line between artistic expression and emotional manipulation. The myth endures in music because it speaks to a fundamental truth we all feel, that a song can bypass our defenses, trigger a memory, or make us yearn for something we cannot name. It asks us to consider the true power of the art form, a power that can heal and unite, but can also, like the most beautiful and treacherous of melodies, lead us willingly toward our own emotional ruin. Could a song truly possess the power to override human will? Modern science suggests the answer is a deeply unsettling yes. Our brains are hardwired to respond to sound in ways that can bypass our conscious control entirely. One of the most compelling explanations lies in a phenomenon known as auditory driving. This occurs when a persistent, rhythmic sound, like a drum beat or a repetitive melodic phrase, begins to synchronize with the brain's own electrical pulses. Think of a powerful drum circle where the steady, pounding rhythm seems to physically vibrate through your body, loosening your thoughts and pulling you into an almost dreamlike state. This is auditory driving in action, a biological hack that can alter brainwave patterns and induce trance, a state of highly focused awareness where critical judgment often fades away. The siren's endless, looping melody, heard across the vast, monotonous silence of the sea, would have been the perfect stimulus for this kind of neurological takeover, lulling a sailor's mind long before it captured his heart. This vulnerability to sound is not a flaw, but a feature woven into our evolutionary past. We are born predisposed to find certain frequencies and cadences irresistibly captivating. A mother's lullaby, with its soft, rising and falling tones, is a biological signal of safety and comfort, a sound that soothes an infant by tapping into the deepest, most primal circuits of the brain. Similarly, the human voice of a potential mate carries subtle acoustic qualities that can signal health and vitality, making it powerfully attractive. The siren's song, in its mythical perfection, would have hijacked these very instincts. It might have combined the comforting rhythm of a lullaby with the alluring timbre of an ideal companion, creating a sonic cocktail that felt both deeply familiar and intensely desirable. This is where the concept of the uncanny valley of voice adds a final, chilling layer. What if their song was not just beautiful, but too beautiful? A voice so flawless, so devoid of the tiny imperfections that make a sound human, that it becomes unsettlingly alien. This perfect, synthetic-seeming beauty could create a cognitive dissonance, a mesmerizing yet eerie experience that paralyzes the listener, freezing them between attraction and unease, making them easy prey. The myth of the sirens, therefore, stops being pure fantasy and starts to look like an ancient, intuitive understanding of human neurology. It is the story of our own biological wiring being used against us, a warning that the most dangerous traps are not the ones we see, but the ones we are evolutionarily programmed to hear. That ancient song of destruction now carries a new and defiant melody. After centuries of being framed as a monster or a temptress, the siren is being reclaimed, her voice amplified as a powerful symbol of female agency and rage. This modern feminist reinterpretation does not see a creature to be feared, but a figure to be celebrated, a being who uses her only weapon, her voice, against a world that wants her silent. In this reframing, her song is not a deceptive lure, but an authentic expression of power, of knowledge, and of unapologetic desire. The men who crash their ships are no longer innocent victims, they are casualties of their own inability to handle a woman's unfiltered truth. Their destruction comes not from her malice, but from their own failure to listen without trying to possess or control the source of the music. This turns the entire myth on its head. The siren becomes an icon of resistance, a mythical antecedent to the woman who speaks her mind, and is immediately labeled dangerous, hysterical, or a siren call leading society astray. Her rocky island is no longer a trap she sets, but the solitary podium from which she is forced to sing, the only space where her voice can be free. The heap of bones surrounding her is not a trophy collection, but a grim monument to all the men who arrived not to listen, but to conquer, to capture, or to silence the singer herself. We see this powerful reclamation vividly in contemporary art and literature, where the siren sheds a passive, seductive role and becomes an active, furious force. In one striking modern painting, a siren stands not on rocks, but on the wreckage of 1,000 ships, her mouth open in a roar, not a melody. She holds a shattered mirror, refusing the vanity she was once accused of, and her gaze meets the viewer with a direct, unflinching challenge. She is not there to be looked at, she is there to be reckoned with. This aligns with a broader cultural shift where female anger, long suppressed as unseemly or monstrous, is being recognized as a justified and potent response to injustice. The siren's song, in this light, is that rage set to music, a frequency so raw and true that the patriarchal structures represented by the wooden ships simply cannot withstand its vibration. They crash because they are not built to navigate a world where female power is not in service to men. This new siren myth asks a profound question: what happens when women stop singing lullabies and start singing their own truths? The answer, it seems, is that the old world must either learn to listen or be shattered upon the rocks of its own ignorance. This haunting archetype of the singing temptress is not a Greek invention, but a human one echoing across the world's waters. High above the Rhine River in Germany, a different maiden sings her lethal lament. She is the Lorelei, named for the towering slate rock she sits upon, combing her golden hair. Her song, amplified by the cliff's natural echo, mesmerizes boatmen on the river below, drawing their focus from the treacherous currents until their vessels are shattered on the rocks. Unlike the Greek sirens who promise knowledge, the Lorelei song is often one of personal tragedy, a mournful refrain for a lost love that makes her danger deeply sympathetic. She is a spirit of a specific, tangible place, a geographic hazard given a voice and a heartbreaking story. Travel east to the rivers and lakes of Slavic lands and you will find the Rusalka. She is a different kind of aquatic spirit, often the soul of a young woman who met a violent, watery death, perhaps by suicide or murder. On the surface, she appears as a beautiful, pale maiden with long, flowing hair, singing and dancing in moonlit clearings. But her beauty is a mask for a bitter, vengeful nature. Where the siren and Lorelei lure from a distance, the Rusalka is far more hands-on, known to tickle men to death or drag them down into the depths to drown, a chillingly intimate end. Her song is not a promise of wisdom but a cry of injustice, a siren call born from profound personal suffering that she forces others to share. Across the world in Japan, the myth takes another fascinating turn with the Ningyo. This creature is often depicted as a fish with a human head, a being whose appearance is considered an omen of war or calamity. Catching a Ningyo was believed to bring terrible storms and misfortune upon a village. Yet, in a stunning paradox, consuming its flesh was said to grant immortality. This creates a terrifying dilemma for any sailor who encounters one, the ultimate temptation with a cosmic price tag. Do you risk the wrath of the gods and the ruin of your people for a chance to live forever? The Ningyo is not a seducer with a song, but a silent, floating test of human greed. From the Rhine to the rivers of Russia to the seas of Japan, these stories share a common DNA. They are all born from the universal human fear of the deep, the unknown world beneath the waves that can provide life-sustaining passage one moment and violent death the next. The specific form of the spirit changes, the nature of the temptation shifts, but the core warning remains the same. The water holds a voice, a beauty, or a promise that calls to our deepest desires, and to answer that call is to risk everything. This global chorus of sirens reveals a profound truth about our relationship with the natural world. We personify its dangers, giving a face and a song to the storms, the rocks, and the currents, because it is easier to fear a beautiful maiden than the cold, impersonal chaos of the sea itself. The same winds that carried tales of the sirens may have also carried the sound of their real-world inspiration. Archaeological evidence suggests a tantalizing bridge between the myth and a tangible historical cult. On islands like Sicily and those scattered off the Amalfi Coast, locations long associated with the Sirens, archaeologists have uncovered the remains of temples dedicated to goddesses of the underworld, such as Persephone or Demeter. These were not gentle harvest deities, but powerful chthonic figures, rulers of the dead and the deep earth. Their worship was often intense and emotional, involving rites that could seem terrifyingly alien to an outsider. Imagine a sailor anchored off a strange shore, hearing a chorus of wailing cries and ecstatic chants drifting from a torch-lit temple on the cliffs. This was not a beautiful melody in the modern sense, but a raw, spiritual performance meant to channel divine power. To a superstitious Greek sailor, this haunting sound, echoing over the water with no visible source, could easily be misinterpreted as a supernatural call. The priestesses of these cults were not monsters, but women enacting sacred rituals, their voices becoming the very substance of the legend. And what of the grisly meadow of bones described by Homer? The treacherous coastlines around these islands are littered with the evidence of ancient shipwrecks. A sailor seeing bleached timbers and the scattered remains of old wrecks on the shore would have a perfectly logical, yet utterly chilling, explanation for the myth's central image. Furthermore, these very islands often held ancient burial grounds, places where bones were exposed to the elements as part of funerary practices. A heap of sun-whitened bones near the water's edge would complete the terrifying picture, merging the real dangers of the sea with the spiritual rites of death. This theory does not diminish the myth, but enriches it, grounding a timeless story in the soil, stone, and very human beliefs of the ancient world. The Siren's song begins to sound less like a monster's lure and more like a misunderstood sacred hymn, a divine mystery that sailed right out of history and into our deepest fears. That irresistible melody now plays on our televisions and phones. The Siren's call has been expertly repurposed by modern marketing, a multi-billion-dollar industry built on understanding our deepest desires. Advertisers are the new myth makers, crafting sonic lures designed to bypass our rational minds. A catchy jingle is not just a tune, it is an earworm, a piece of auditory engineering that loops in your head long after the ad is over. It functions exactly like the ancient song, creating a sense of familiarity and comfort that pulls you toward a product. These sonic logos, from a 5-note melody for a tech giant to a simple, cheerful tune for a fast food chain, are designed for instant recognition, forging a subconscious bond between a sound and a feeling of satisfaction. The seduction extends far beyond sound. Commercials are saturated with siren-like imagery, slow-motion shots of a cold drink on a hot day, the luxurious glide of a new car on an empty road. These visuals promise not just a product, but an experience, a transformation, a sliver of a perfect life that feels just out of reach. They tap into the same psychological vulnerabilities the Sirens exploited, our yearning for happiness, status, and belonging. The danger is not a literal shipwreck, but a financial one, the quiet accumulation of debt from purchases that promised fulfillment but delivered only fleeting pleasure. We find the Siren herself gazing back at us from store shelves and digital banners. Her image is a powerful brand archetype, symbolizing pure, untamed allure. A famous coffee chain uses a twin-tailed siren in its logo, a direct nod to the seductive power of its aroma and the promise of rejuvenation it offers. High-fashion brands frequently use mermaid and siren motifs in their designs, evoking a sense of exclusive beauty and mysterious luxury that is both captivating and difficult to obtain. In this context, the Siren is no longer a monster, she is an aspirational icon, her call promising that you, too, can possess a fragment of her magic if you just own the right dress, the right perfume, the right cup of coffee. This repackaging of the myth reveals its timeless power as a metaphor for any compelling temptation in our daily lives. The call is now the ping of a notification, the flash of a sale sign, the curated perfection of a social media feed. Each one is a modern siren song promising connection, validation, or a better version of ourselves. And just like the ancient sailors, we must constantly navigate these alluring sounds and sights, deciding which calls to answer and which require us to metaphorically tie ourselves to the mast of our own willpower. Every creak of the timber was a reminder of the abyss below. Ancient sailors did not navigate a map, they traversed a living, breathing nightmare of wind and water. Their world was defined by a crushing vulnerability, a tiny wooden shell battling an indifferent, infinite sea. Under a moonless sky, the only guides were the distant, cold pinpricks of stars, a celestial map that could vanish in an instant behind storm clouds. Unseen reefs lurked like serpents just beneath the surface, their presence announced only by the fatal crunch of the hull. In this realm of constant, shapeless dread, the human mind craved a form for its fear. The Siren myth provided that terrifying face. She was the personification of the hidden reef, the sudden squall, the current that pulled a ship fatally off course. Her jagged island was every uncharted rock that could tear a vessel apart, and her song was the roar of the wind in the rigging, a sound that could either promise a swift passage or whisper of imminent doom. The story gave sailors a target for their terror. It is far easier to curse a beautiful, singing woman than to rage against the chaotic, impersonal violence of the ocean itself. This act of naming the danger was a form of psychological armor. By transforming the random horror of a shipwreck into a narrative with a villain, with rules, and even with a defense, as Odysseus demonstrated, the myth offered a sliver of control. It made the unbearable chaos of the sea feel like a battle that could, with enough cunning, be won. The legend was a survival mechanism, a way for generations of mariners to process the sheer terror of their profession and to pass down a crucial warning to those who would follow them into the wine-dark unknown. The very name Siren whispers of its own dark power. Its origin lies in the ancient Greek word Siren, a term that linguists believe may be linked to an even older root, sir. This root carries the potent meaning of to bind or to cord. The name itself reveals the creature's fundamental nature. They were not just singers, they were binders. Their song was an invisible rope, a snare for the human soul, designed to tie a listener's will to their own and drag them helplessly toward destruction. This simple linguistic connection transforms the myth from a mere monster story into a precise allegory for psychological entrapment. The danger was not the rocks, but the binding of the mind. This ancient root weaves a web of meaning that stretches far beyond the rocky shore. Consider the word serious. Today it means earnest or grave, but its origin traces back to the Latin serious, meaning weighty or binding. Something serious is a matter that binds your attention, that holds you fast with its importance. In a similar vein, the word sorcery finds its lineage here. Sorcery is the art of magical binding, of casting spells that ensnare the will and enchant the senses. A sorcerer, much like a siren, uses unseen forces to constrain and control. Even the word sermon, a speech intended to morally guide and spiritually bind its listeners to a certain path, shares this deep etymological heritage. Every time we use these words, we are unconsciously echoing the myth of the Sirens, speaking of bonds that are intellectual, magical, and moral. This linguistic exploration uncovers a profound truth about how the ancient Greeks viewed the world. They saw the power of sound, of persuasion, and of knowledge not as abstract concepts, but as tangible forces that could physically restrain a person. To be enchanted was to be tied up, to be persuaded was to be bound by an idea. The Sirens were the ultimate embodiment of this principle, their song a literal and lethal cord that no ordinary rope could ever cut. Their name was their nature, a perfect, terrifying description of the invisible chains we forge for ourselves when we listen too closely to the songs we most desire to hear. The digital sea now echoes with the Sirens' call, their haunting melodies translated into the immersive worlds of video games, in the myth-drenched landscapes of Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, you do not just hear about the danger, you become the sailor navigating it. The sirens here are not distant figures on a shore but immediate, terrifying combatants. They materialize from the mist. There forms a grotesque fusion of classical bird woman and beautiful human, and their song is not just a narrative device but a tangible gameplay mechanic, a sonic attack that can disorient and stun you before they strike with lethal claws. This is the myth made interactive, forcing you to live the peril Odysseus only heard. That same brutal challenge awaits in God of War, where the sirens are formidable obstacles in Kratos' path, their voices a weapon as sharp as any blade he wields. These games transform the ancient allegory into a physical test of reflexes and strategy, where you must actively fight the enchantment rather than passively resist it. This evolution continues in the boundless realms of tabletop role-playing. Dungeons & Dragons has systematically codified the Siren, turning her into a monster stat block with defined hit points, armor class, and alluring song ability. She is no longer a fluid symbol but a quantifiable adversary, her danger measured in dice rolls and saving throws. This process blends her classical traits, like the irresistible song, with standard fantasy tropes, sometimes granting her water breathing or a hypnotic gaze. By giving her a stat block, these games make the Siren a usable, repeatable part of a storyteller's toolkit, ensuring her story is passed down to new generations not through epic poetry, but through collaborative, hands-on adventure. This modern interpretation shifts the Siren's primary role from a symbolic figure representing internal temptation into an external, interactive adversary. The focus moves from the philosophical question of what knowledge is worth the risk of self-destruction to the tactical problem of how to defeat a monster with a charming voice. Yet, in doing so, they keep the core of the myth vibrantly alive. When a player hears that ethereal music in a game and feels a genuine thrill of danger, they are participating in a story thousands of years old, experiencing the Siren's call in the most direct way possible by having their own journey hinge on the outcome. That irresistible promise of knowing everything is the most dangerous illusion of all. The Siren's song, in its purest philosophical sense, is the sound of absolute truth, a complete and unmediated knowledge of reality that the human mind is simply not built to contain. Think of it this way: our consciousness is like a ship designed to sail on the surface of the ocean. We can navigate its waves, understand its currents, and even appreciate its beauty from our limited vantage point. But to know the ocean in its entirety, to suddenly comprehend the crushing pressures of the abyss, the teeming, alien life in the darkness, and the vast, indifferent scale of it all, would shatter our little vessel. The Siren's call is the temptation to dive straight into that abyss, to possess a god's eye view of existence. This is why philosophers have long seen the myth as a perfect allegory for epistemology, the study of knowledge itself. The ultimate truth is not a gentle teacher, it is an overwhelming force. To receive it directly without any filter would annihilate the very self that seeks to understand it. Our minds operate through perception, through stories, through the beautiful, necessary limitations that allow us to function. To strip those away is not to become enlightened, but to cease to be human. This transforms Odysseus's clever stratagem into one of history's greatest philosophical acts. He did not block out the song entirely, nor did he recklessly surrender to it. He chose to experience the truth while being physically restrained, bound to the solid structure of his ship, which represents his human identity, his community, and his ongoing journey. He heard the full, terrifying melody, but the ropes and the wax, these acts of mediation, protected him from its destructive consequences. He gained the experience of the sublime without being consumed by it. His survival is a lesson in how we must approach any profound truth, whether scientific, spiritual, or personal. We cannot face the raw, unfiltered universe head-on. We need our frameworks, our traditions, our arts, and our relationships to act as the wax in our ears and the ropes on our mast, allowing us to listen to the deepest mysteries of life without losing our minds on the rocky shore of absolute knowledge. From a haunting melody on a wine-dark sea to a symbol echoing in our own minds, the Sirens have completed an incredible journey. We began with Homer, where a hero's cunning met a promise of forbidden knowledge on a rocky island of bones. We watched as the myth transformed across centuries, the bird-woman of ancient vases slowly growing a shimmering fishtail, her meaning shifting from a guide to the underworld into a seductress of the waves. We saw her absorbed into Christian morality, repackaged by modern marketing, and reclaimed as an icon of feminine power. Through it all, the core themes have remained constant: the immense power of a voice to enchant or destroy, the eternal struggle between our rational minds and our deepest desires, and our unshakable fascination with the beautiful, the mysterious, and the dangerously unknown. The Sirens' call no longer drifts from a mythical shore. It resonates within the architecture of our own psychology, a timeless warning about the allure of anything that promises to complete us, whether it is absolute knowledge, perfect love, or effortless success. It is the song of our own ambitions and temptations, asking us what we are willing to risk to hear it. We would love to hear what this enduring myth means to you. Tell us in the comments what your own personal Sirens' call sounds like, and subscribe for more journeys into the dreamy corners of our history.